I'm going to try recording this again. I just made an amazing video for you guys about queefing, and now I have to start over. It's probably good to have a second go at it. So I'm not just talking about queefing, but I am talking about queefing for sure. And for those of you who are not in the know of this incredible biological event, queefing is when air exits the vagina. And it sounds like a fart. It feels kind of like a fart, but it is indicative of something a bit more significant than merely flatulence. So what I'm actually here to talk to you about is the significance of the signals and signs that our pelvis and reproductive tissue are giving us all the time. If you have a vulva, a vagina, a uterus, there are lots of indicators that you can be using to recognize not only your physical, chemical well-being, but emotional, psychological, and spiritual as well. And the other day, I had the pleasure of being part of an online womb attunement, energetic meditation with Tammy Kent, who is sort of the high priestess on all things female pelvis and feminine energy. And in this process of really simply connecting to my own felt sense of my uterus and my ovaries, I had this kind of aha moment of why I've been queefing for the last 2 weeks pretty often after not really for a long time. And this is significant because when I started learning about the female pelvis, a pelvis that supports a uterus and ovaries, there's so much intelligence and wisdom there biologically and also esoterically, energetically. It is through the uterus that we actually inherit blood memory, our ancestral memory, and that memory of safety and belonging and how to be, what needs to happen in order to encourage a continuation of searching, seeking, learning, growing, adapting, expanding, evolving. And we are in a time of collective upheaval. And there's so much desire, really, really strong desire, deep resonance with the benefit of this time of slowing down and getting quiet and being able to see firsthand the impact of our human behavior on this planet. But none of that matters. None of this information matters if we're not making those deep internal adaptations in our physical bodies, our nervous systems, and the way our tissue behaves consequently. So, I can't believe I'm telling you all about the fact that I've been queefing a bunch for the last 2 weeks, but alas, gotta take one for the team in order to teach a lesson. This behavior of my body, now that I'm armed with the understanding of how pelvic tissue behaves based on what the nervous system is going through, so let me back up a step. If you have a vulva, a vagina, a uterus, you're well aware of this biological phenomenon called vaginal tenting, and maybe you don't know that it's called that, but that is when your vaginal tissue adapts and lifts your uterus out of the way so that penetrative sex, whatever it may be that's penetrating you, feels good. There's more space inside the vagina. So there are lots of reasons why that would happen, right? It's a nervous system response, and your tissue is so incredibly wise that that can happen without arousal also happening. So arousal generally leads to engorgement of our genital tissue, and the vagina is lined with engorgeable tissue. And there's lots that I could say about that, but without that happening concurrently, it's just space in there. So lots of extra room and air that would be taken in and having to find its way out. The uterus moving around without kind of the support of these thick, luscious, happy walls is going to expel air. And the uterus is an alive, responsive organ. It responds to nervous system signals. Are we safe? Is it okay? Am I available for, on a biological level, insemination? But really taking in, right? It doesn't have to be explicitly that, but taking in information and making something. We're not in a position energetically or physically to take in information and create and be thoughtful and extract nourishment and release what we do not need if we're not feeling super safe and at ease. So if that is true for you, you might be experiencing painful periods, missing periods, infections, just off behavior from your reproductive tissue, pain, low back pain, instability in your pelvis, queefing. So what I've started doing the last few nights, the last 3 nights I'd say in a row, is doing some of the Arvigo self-care protocol. Rosita Arvigo studied Mayan abdominal therapy in Central America, and I'm not an expert in this, but I just want to make clear this is not my technique. This is something that I've learned sort of through the grapevine of the different pelvic practitioners that I've studied with. And it's a fairly simple protocol. And again, I'm not trained in it, so I don't really feel comfortable making a video and teaching you, but I will be talking about it in my small group process that's starting. The next group starts May 11th. At any rate, you can reach out to me and ask questions about it. But just some very, very simple low belly abdominal womb massage and being aware that this is what's happening. Vaginal steaming is another incredible practice and protocol that can help create some balance and more grounding in the pelvis. Placing your hand, one or both, over your pubic bone, your vulva, and resting it there gently, breathing deeply. It matters that the practice you choose imparts to your system a sense of pleasure and ease. So some of these practices might not be that for you, but I'd be happy to talk with you and help you figure out what would be best. At any rate, your pelvis, your pelvic tissue, your reproductive organs are communicating with you right now, all the time. This tissue is so significant for our overall well-being because this is the seat for our spine, our internal organs, our head, our skull. There's an energetic connection, of course, between this seat, the pelvis, our foundation for the spinal column and our nerves, and how we see, how we express, how we receive. If there is imbalance in your pelvic tissue, that will alter unquestionably how you physically move through the world and how it feels to be in the world, to be confronted with a challenge, let alone a threat. And so if we are going to take this time on as something significant and transformational, it has to happen internally on that deep, deep, deep level. So this odd biological anomaly, that's how I experience queefing. It's sort of like, what the even was that? Luckily, woke me up to the fact that I haven't been resting in my body. I am experiencing some anxiety, high and tight energy. And I have tools to bring myself back to a grounded place so that I can release what is totally unnecessary, extraneous, and be with what is actually so and make some medicine out of it. So I hope this was helpful for you. I hope you got a little bit of a giggle and also something significant. And if you have questions, please reach out to me.